Hi, and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I am Eric, joined once again by.
Karen.
We're doing some more Swans Crossing, episodes 41 to 45. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll start chatting. This show.
Every time.
Um, so Swans Crossing, episode 41. Gloria's kidnapped. Horror of horrors. Um, it was a lot of filler, I felt like, for these episodes. A lot of people just looking for glory throughout. Callie is very smart in this. Um, I like how she was acting. She was trying to get shit done, you know. So Callie goes right away, starts looking for her because she knows it's not like Glory to just go away. Because Glory is always like around and like, especially they're like sisters and they're bonding and all that. Um, Sandy and Sydney finished up their laundry.
That was so funny. There was like stacks of laundry to like the ceiling and the bag was missing and I was like, "Oh no, did they put Glory in the bag?" They put her in the bag.
Glory's in the bag. The spies must have gotten to the laundromat and stolen the bag. That was weird. Well, I guess they're all around town. Those two crazy fellas. Um, and I like that they're like be what do they say? Don't be or be inconspicuous or something. And they're like in this black gear with their only their eyes showing
Oh, right, right, right. They're like, "Yeah,
and
don't
black
be
hoods.
inconspicuous." And they are literally the most conspicuous people ever. I did crack up. I don't know. I mean, I guess there is a lot of people running around looking for glory, but I thought this episode was hilarious. I was
It was
having
hilarious.
so much fun with them. Just it was like an Indiana Jones movie, like for kids. They were running around crazy, and oh, it was just I don't know. I had a really good time, except for of course Neil being sexist as usual.
Neil's a piece of work, man.
Yeah, he put Glory in
Um,
danger, man. It's all him.
yeah. Callie goes to Garrett, looking for Glory. She goes to JT's. Well, they kind of split up. She's like, "Let's go look for her." JT goes to Swan's. Um, JT and Neil are in the meantime also trying to get to the next stage of UB2B. Um,
The funny
which
part
I
about that is they need to build a heat shield to get it to work, but JT wants to go to Swan's because it's double burger day, and and Neil makes him food that is absolutely he spits it out. It's so bad. And he's just like, "We got to go to Swan's for burgers." And it's just like Neil never lets him take a break. He never lets him see his girlfriend. He never lets him do anything but UB2B.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand the end goal of this. Like, if he knows like things are going on, I don't understand what Neil is trying to do.
I think we need to remember that he's like 14 and that
Right.
his ideas are dumb. Like because they're geniuses, but they have no street smarts whatsoever. Because even this plan, like he gave the book of poems to Glory, who's JT's girlfriend. Like she's like the second ring out from them. So like it would
Yeah.
be easy for somebody to be like, I'm gonna look for them. Oh, I'll just get the girlfriend. Like it just was a stupid plan altogether. Like even taking it off the computer where it could have been on the computer and encrypted made more sense than writing it into a book of poems and dumping it off on your best friend's girlfriend.
Glory.
Yeah, who sometimes you like and sometimes you don't. And when they come looking for her, he literally says, "Girls are always daydreaming and wandering off." Like he doesn't even care that she's missing. It's crazy. And he also says girl paranoia at some point. And it's like, Neil, seriously, it's time for therapy, bud.
Yeah. Neil asks Callie about JT's poems. Um, there's like a flash to Bobby taking or talking about the poems, like she's kind of putting it together in her head.
Hmm.
She knows that Neil's up to no good, that he's hiding something. Um, and then Neil all of a sudden's like, well, doesn't she threaten? Is this when she threatens Neil, or is that later?
It's later.
Oh, okay. Well, she storms off, and Neil says he wants to help find Glory
Yeah, because he starts
because
feeling guilty because this is his fault.
I didn't even think he started feeling guilty because I don't know. I just felt like he was just still being shady.
Yeah, he is being shady.
Um, Garrett gets to Swan's, asks about Glory. He bumps in. Is this when he bumps into Sydney?
Yeah, he
And
does.
she's like, she's not on my list, and neither are you, or something like that.
Yeah, because she's gathering all these things for the whole Billy Gunn incident, and she's just basically acting like Mila's press secretary. And Garrett is like,
Yeah,
"You're my gal, Friday, this, that, and the other thing," and she's just like, "You're not on my list, and neither is going. Nobody's on my list. Get out."
yeah, she's focusing on her chore
It's
to keep
funny
that
because
secret.
I feel like Mila and Nancy and Sydney are all in a different storyline and they do not care about the other storyline at all. It's like even when they meet, it's just like they
Yeah.
bounce off each other, which
Well,
I
yeah, I
kind of
don't
think
think
is funny.
they never really mentioned to Sydney that Glory is in danger or missing. I
No, they
guess
don't
they
tell her
didn't want.
anything.
Yeah, because I feel like she probably would have helped if and they kind of wanted to keep that separate. I guess because there's
Yeah.
all this stuff going on now.
Yes.
So we see Glory is in some kind of cave or underground situation in
She
a net of some
she's
sort.
this is where I keep saying it's like Indiana Jones or even like MacGyver. Like she is in this damp, water dripping cave in a big cargo net underneath like a grate that has bars and it's like wet and there's snakes and it's like you're in a neighborhood. What is this?
Yeah, and there's like candles lit down there
It
wherever.
looks like it looks like it would be like if it was like a
Temple of Doom.
yeah, or like a witchcraft movie where they have like a secret den
Hmm.
or something, and it seems really weird and kind of out of place with our Russian, or if they're Russian, our Russian spies. It's
Whatever they
just
are.
like very strange.
Yeah. Callie tells Garrett to call the police. Barrick says he will take care of it and he'll tell the authorities. Um,
Yeah, after he talks about how Officer Moore isn't going to help them, so he's probably going to have to go higher than the local cops
yeah.
because he's like Officer Moore hates me. Don't you remember that incident with the helicopter? Like nice callback.
Mila calls Sydney, asking about Billy, if everything's going smooth, whatever. Um, Sid, I have Sid writes a note to Mila. Did she write something? I don't remember what that was about.
A note. She was writing notes all over the place.
So
Oh,
I guess she
I
wrote
think
it.
she told her when she got there to try on the different outfits and she would be right back
Oh,
because she left out a bunch of outfits that really look like they were from like a biker bar.
yeah. Neil and JT talk to Garrett. Neil doesn't want the FBI involved.
No, he doesn't.
Um, JT has like a bad feeling about it, and Kelly has a bag of cotton balls. That's all I got.
Well, remember they did run it. They run into Barrick at one point because do they go to
Yeah, it
the
was
shop
only
or
for
is
like
it?
a
Yeah, but it's important because I think Barrick is that third guy in the cave.
yeah, but I did mention that because I said Callie tells Garrett to call the police. Barrett one says he'll tell the authorities.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Barrick is the one that was holding that bag of cotton balls. That came from Barrick. He was
Oh, is that
he
where
was
it came
holding
from?
yeah, he was holding it when he came in and he started talking to them and he asked them if they had called the authorities. And he was like, "Yeah, they called the FBI." And then he gets really shady and he dips. And when he leaves behind the bag, and that's why Callie has a bag of cotton balls. She
Ah,
opens
that's
it
why
up.
she has the cotton balls.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I'm like bringing back to it because I think Barrick is
Again, yeah,
so
yeah.
shady. Uh,
Again, looking at like more suspicious on him, whatever.
yeah, there's a lot on
Um,
him. There's a lot going on with people.
it's funny because I feel like he's hardly on, but like he's in it for like random 30 seconds.
I feel like he comes on, he and Callie argue as if he were another teenager, and it's so irritating.
I
And
know.
then he does something shady, and then he exits stage left. And that's every interaction with him. And Jimmy, for whatever reason, has just decided that Beric can do no wrong. And yet he's starting to find clues that Beric is up to shit. But
Yeah,
he still fights with Callie like Callie's wrong when he knows she's right. So that's
right.
irritating.
It is.
It's really irritating.
So we get into episode 42. The spies are talking. Glory's pleading. They just kind of are like weirdly torturing her. I don't really like. I don't know if they're holding the snake. It was too dark. I couldn't like see things.
I think what they were doing was just scaring her. They just kept saying, we're going to, they're putting the snake closer and closer. And if you notice, there were, I don't know if you could see because it was dark, but there were a lot of other snakes kind of like climbing in and out of the net. So like she was kind of terrified because they
Okay,
keep
so you can
asking
see
her,
that stuff.
yeah, they're like, what do you know? What do you know? Like even at the end of the last episode, they're like, you know, she's just in a net and there's a bunch of snakes around. And I
Yeah,
think I wrote, what the heck is happening?
I know. I was confused too. I couldn't really tell. It
Yeah,
was just very
my
dark.
first note on this one is like Glory in snake prison with candles. Everyone's in ninja outfits. Like I don't know what's happening. So like I was
I
really
know.
enjoying this because it was so dramatic.
And the authority guy came. Was he part of the FBI? The guy that came? I don't even know. I
Yes.
don't know if they said.
Okay, so the FBI guy shows up. I think they say his name later on. I didn't write it down.
I
Didn't
don't think
write
I
it
did
down
either.
because I was so surprised to find out that JT had a last name. So JT's last name is Adams, just as a like an aside. And
It's
I'd like the
funny.
FBI guy shows up and he's just basically like, she's a kid. She probably just wandered off. Who cares? And they're like, no, she doesn't do that. And he's like, okay, I guess we'll look for her then.
And
And I was like,
he does
typical.
question, like he asks like the douchebag questions, like almost accusatory.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
anybody
Was she
mad at
fighting
her
with
and
her
stuff like that? Is she
boyfriend?
fighting?
Yeah.
He
All
asks
that.
if JT is her boyfriend, and he says yes. And Garrett lets it go. I'm surprised. I thought Garrett would say something, but he didn't. They say basically that Glory has no enemies, and of course Neil's looking all guilty because he is.
Yeah.
Um, Sydney and Mila go through the clothes or whatever that she's going to wear. Sydney runs off. The spies want Neil's book that he gave, the poetry book. How did
Right.
they find out about it? Do you remember?
No, I have no idea how they found out
I
about it.
mean, they've been looking around town, so maybe
They've
they overheard.
following Glory for days now, and since she is constantly reading poems out of that book, maybe
Right, that's
they
true.
figured it out that way. Unfortunately, she only had the new book of poems on her, the ones that JT wrote to her honestly. The other poetry book is in her room. So like she doesn't even know what the hell they're talking about, and she doesn't. They took her poetry book, and she's desperately upset because her boyfriend wrote her poems, and these
Yeah.
weirdos with snakes took it.
They cut her like hands loose, and she like pulls out the book or something, and then they grab it from her.
Yeah, yeah, that was really weird.
It was weird,
But
but
I think that one
they
is
left her alone
Barrick.
after that.
I think that one is Barrick, the one that cut her hands free. Because like there's the
Oh,
one that,
really?
yeah, well there's two, right? And the one that speaks nonsensical Russian, and then the other one who speaks nonsensical, I don't know, maybe German. Like I'm quotating because it's not these are not real words that they're saying. They're just kind of
Right.
accented. And then there was like a third guy who was much thinner and like had a similar build to Barrick, but you can't tell who anyone is because they're all wearing masks and holding snakes in next to candelabras. So it's just a really weird scenario. So
I
that's what I
thought
thought.
Bar-
That's what I thought.
I thought Barrick was the one that cut her loose, like
Yeah,
cut her
I think he
free,
I think he's the one that gets her out later. Yeah.
because I
I
thought he came in later, but I didn't know who cut her hands up like
I
free. I
don't
thought it was just
dude,
one of
it's
them.
there's no guarantees, man.
Yeah, it
There's
was dark.
no
It was dark and it was weird.
yeah.
Um, Sydney's on the giant Swan payphone.
It winked. Did you see it? It winked. The
I
Swan
did.
phone. I wrote it down. I was
That's
like, "Oh my goodness,
funny.
the phone blinked." It was weird.
Oh, it blinked. I thought you said it winked.
It was like it blinked. Yeah, it blinked.
Um,
It was weird.
Garrett's upset. She gives an update of she calls Garrett, like wants to give an update of what's going on, and he's like distracted by Glory missing, so he's not even really caring about
He's
this
like,
storyline right now.
I can't be on the phone right now. And she's like, I'm doing what you asked me to do, and you need to be here for this event. And he's like,
Yeah,
fine, sure, whatever. Like, because she doesn't know that Glory's missing.
right. Because I feel like she would have gotten involved, but again, two
I,
different storylines.
yeah, two different worlds.
Um, Jimmy gets to the shop and he has a little child moment. He likes to, he's like playing like spy or whatever, and he finds this camera head thing. Like,
So what it is it's a version of a jeweler's loop. It's supposed to be a magnifying glass. And when he looks through it,
it's
it
a
turns out
camera.
it's a camera. And then
Hmm.
he's finding proof of what Callie's been saying, and yet treats Callie like crap.
Of course.
I don't understand their dynamic, and I don't want to. I actually want her
Yeah,
now with Bobby,
it's
and
weird.
they have good friend chemistry.
Bobby couldn't find her anywhere. The boys go off separate ways. Neil goes in the house. And what is Neil doing? Is he just looking for the poem book, the poetry book, thinking it's
So
around?
yeah, Neil tells everybody that he'll like basically stay at home base in case anyone calls. But the reason he's doing that is because he wants to search Glory's room to find the book. So he's still, even though he feels guilty slightly, he is still being shady and trying to protect his work versus trying to help Glory. So he used
Right.
that as an excuse to go through her things, her private things, by the way, and he's like
Hmm.
looking around for stuff. And I was just like, Neil, what is going on with you, bro?
Yeah, he's shady AF.
Yeah.
Um,
Because like
the spot.
don't half of them go to the east end and then the other ones head to the west end of town? Like, or they
I
check the
think
east end?
so. I
Something
don't
like
think I
that.
made note of that. Yeah. The spies read the book.
They're reading some of
They
the poems.
they want to know. They want to know her operation. I have. She mentions like the Fabian shade or something. Like I guess.
They okay, so first off, they want to know what scientist is on the shade, the face, and they keep saying the face on the shade. And she's going, that's not just a face, that's Fabian.
It's
And
Fabian.
they're like, what scientist is that? And she goes, he's not a scientist, he's a singer. And I was like, nobody knows who Fabian is. I mean, it's crazy.
And they keep calling her a liar. Liar.
Yeah, and
Liar.
they're yelling, cooperate, cooperate. And I even write my notes, I'm like, this is so funny. I just love it.
um, Cindy gets back and she says that she almost had to get on the bus because Ralph was off today.
Use your power,
She,
Ralph.
yeah, so stupid. Thank God they didn't do it as much as I thought they were going to do it.
I love it.
um, she got a tattoo kit to put, and of course it's a snake, which is funny.
It's so funny.
Um, Neil
It's
found
kind of really meta, isn't it? Really meta that like they dress her up as kind of like a biker with a snake tattoo, and it's like what you would see as a biker on a TV show, like not in reality. So this is a TV show making her look like a TV show character, and like it's like
right.
what a little girls think bikers look like, and I just like really enjoyed it because it's so tame. It's just so tame.
So what did Neil find in the room?
Neil found the book. He found the second poetry book because remember, there's
The
two
second
books.
poetry book. Okay.
So that's the original one that Neil gave to Glory for safekeeping when she was sad about JT. The second book JT gave her when he found out she liked his poetry. And
Okay.
he even copied the poem that he wrote on the blue napkin into the poetry book. And he's like, my poems are terrible. And Glory's just like, I love them. Write me poems forever. So he's been writing her poems because he is actually kind of a really nice boyfriend.
Yeah. And the spies end up leaving Glory. Bobby finds a cotton ball again. JT rides up. Glory's asleep, like laying on the ground. We think I don't know if she's asleep or knocked out or what.
They
Someone
just
comes
leave
in,
her in the net. Like I don't know if she passed out from fear or what, but she was literally like,
probably.
I don't know.
Someone comes in, basically cuts the rope, and she like gets loose, and she's just laying on the ground now. That's it.
Right. So the funny thing about this is like when they were yelling at Glory and trying to get her to like confess or whatever, they just started yelling the craziest phrases at her. And they were just like, "Are you a mule? Like is she a mule?" And they're like, "You're like, you will tell us." And she's just like, I don't know what's happening." And I was just like, "Me too, Glory, me too." Then they started asking her science questions, and she's like, I don't even know what you're talking about." And they were like asking her stats and physics questions, and she goes, "I've only gotten to chapter 2 in that book, I don't know." And I was like, "This is hilarious." I was dying. And
It's something.
every time Neil was on screen, I was like, "Ooh, you little," you know, because
You
he was
little
just
shit.
awful. He literally walks in her room and goes, "If I were a girl, where would I hide this book?" I'm like, "Neil, you don't know a damn thing about being a girl." And JT just hates every woman. And then he finds the book taped to the back of a picture of JT.
Picture of JT.
And I was like, was this a thing in the 90s? Did we get our boyfriend pictures and then like frame them and put them in our room?
Right.
Because this is a reoccurring theme in this show.
So we get to episode 43. Garrett screams for Neil because he's up in the room looking around, whatever. Um, he says he found nothing or whatever. Um, Jimmy Jimmy come surprised. They still haven't found Glory.
Mm-hmm.
Someone kills the snake and cuts the net down. Oh, I thought that happened already. I'm so confused.
No, there's a guy watching at the end of the previous episode.
Okay.
They kind of run into each other when you're watching them like this because they have like a little rollback in the beginning of the episode to what happened in
Yeah.
the previous one. Doctor Who used to do that all the time. But yeah,
JT has JT has a flashback of Glory. Garrett goes off on Jimmy and blames him.
yeah.
Um, we find out that she's at the Walker estate, which I didn't know. I didn't know if we were supposed to know that.
Uh,
Apparently, she
Not yet.
goes and
They talk about this in this episode where she goes there for roses.
yeah, she cuts roses or something.
Well,
I bet nobody else is
When Neil is
living there,
still in the
so
house and JT and that like when Garrett comes to the house, he just literally goes, "That geek's getting on my nerves." And I was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, me too." But yeah, so she goes there all the time, I guess.
Yeah, Garrett's kind of in like a panic mode, because he's very worried.
Well, it's his sister.
Asks Neil to watch the phone while he looks for Glory. Bobby finds another cotton ball
Hmm.
while he and JT look for Glory. Um, I put a disturbed soul could have done this. Who does somebody say that? I don't know
Yeah,
why I heard
because
that.
remember they
I
have
like
been
that.
mentioning the Walker estate multiple times now as a place that is haunted, and like
Mm,
the grandfather built all those crazy statues we're about to see and
Callie's
put there.
grandfather.
Callie's grandfather, and
Yeah.
like so they're just like basically like talking about how Callie's grandfather is crazy and haunts that place. So the disturbed soul reference is kind of like a dig at Callie.
And she says at one point, she's like, "I know my grandfather supposedly haunted the place." Like, I really like Callie in these episodes. I thought she was fun.
Well, when she's not
Just,
pretending to be super cool or arguing with Jimmy, when
yeah,
she's on with Glory, when she's on adventures, she's a much more palatable character.
yeah, for sure. We see Gloria asleep on the ground. JT and Bobby bump into Garrett. We find out she collects roses. There, Glory wakes, screams JT. He finds her. Garrett comforts her. Bobby feels an angry energy there.
The thing that's funny is like it is super cool in this episode to see the Walker estate because the Walker estate is overgrown. It has multiple giant statues, including like what looks like a Zeus statue, and then there's one that's like a giant head. And when we find Glory, she's under a white sheet, so somebody had to have laid her there. And she
Right.
does call out for JT a few times before he finds her. And I like this is like he finds her and it's really cute, and Garrett is just being good about it because like they're kind of like really close and he does not look happy about it, but he's glad his sister's okay. And they're all just like, "Are you hurt? What happened?" And it's, I don't know. I really liked these episodes.
Yeah. Callie and Jimmy are talking. We find out it's been 12 hours that she's been missing.
Already.
She basically tells him off. She rides off. She's got no time for him. But Neil is happy to see Glory, or is he? I
Oh, I think
don't
he
feel
knows
like he
he's.
is.
I don't think he was. I think he knew he was busted.
JT takes her to her room. Glory tells all to JT. She's upset.
Hmm.
Says that they were just poems and looks at Neil. That's all that I got for that.
I thought it was cute because in this one, um, JT actually very respectfully asks Garrett if he can take Glory up to her room because you wouldn't have been able to do that. That would have been inappropriate. And Garrett goes, "Yeah, but maybe take the stairs this time." Because of the last time when he went up on the ladder and was trying to climb into her room. So it was kind of like Garrett was being nice for 1 minute. Sometimes he's nice for minutes.
How could she be missing for 12 hours and not one parent was involved?
A lot of the parents were out of town. I know that JT's parents were out of town because they mentioned it to the FBI agent. And I think before this storyline started, we found out that the Booths were out of town on a campaign thing. We found that out in episode 40. I think they're on the campaign trail. And Callie's
Hmm.
staying at the house, so Mr. Captain Walker's not around. So like the whole problem is,
Right, right,
and obviously, Bobby's family doesn't care about him. So they didn't notice at all.
right.
And of course, the people whose parents are home, Sydney and Mila, Nancy doesn't have a family. They're all in another storyline. So it's like there are no kids with parents
Right.
around. You would think that the FBI agent, if he took it seriously, would have called the Booths and let them know that their only daughter is missing.
Yeah.
No, that didn't happen. But really, honestly, I did think about it too, because like, as an older person, the first thing you do is go, "Where are your parents? Where are your parents?"
Right.
Again, I don't think
Um,
Neil's parents are probably so used to him being at JT's house that they just assume he's at JT's house.
yeah. So we get to episode 44. Everybody's talking about Glory being found. Bobby says they followed the cotton ball trail, and we find out that supposedly her, Callie's grandfather haunts the place.
Right, yeah.
JT asks Glory where the book is. Neil hands it over. Formula for UB2B and poems. JT goes off on Neil for giving Glory the book.
Well, he didn't know she had that other book of poems because
Right.
JT
This is
was
where he
like,
finds out.
"What other?" He's like, "What other book of poems?" And I thought this was really good writing because JT slowly realizes that Neil took the UB2B formula stuff, put it in a book, and endangered Glory. So he gets
Hmm.
very angry, progressively angrier through this episode.
Yeah.
And Neil knows it. Like he knows he's cooked. And I'm just like, yes, time for Neil to get
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah. And Glory ends up saying, "Don't be hard on Neil," which I was surprised at. Or maybe she doesn't know the extent of it. I don't think.
yeah, she doesn't think it's that big of a deal, but it is.
Yeah.
Like Neil deliberately put Glory in danger, like deliberately. Like he was like, "Oh, she'll not like whatever." But like it's such an easy trail from JT and Neil to either
Right.
say Katie or to Glory or even to their parents. Like that's like the first line of people that would get got.
Yeah.
I could see why
J-
JT is furious.
JT doesn't want to tell anything to the FBI. Kelly says she will do whatever Glory wants. JT tells her she can tell if she wants to, um, if it makes her feel safer.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. The spies get back, and I have someone else's problem. Oh yeah, they're basically like, oh, she's someone else's problem now. She got out, whatever.
They
They didn't really
also
care.
asked each other if they qualified for hazard pay now, and I was like, "Yeah."
These spies. Glory basically makes up a story to the FBI dude. I was just looking for flowers. I passed out, whatever. Neil seems relieved, obviously. Um, Garrett knows it's a lie,
Yeah.
and he knows. Yeah, this is where I finally heard the groany. She said, "I know you suckered that groany."
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before. Maybe I just didn't like figure out what they were saying.
I noticed it the very first time. I was like, "What are they trying to do here?" And it's like the third or fourth time we've heard them say that.
Bobby says to Glory, You in the flesh is better than you in the spirit.
Oh my god, this guy.
Freaking weirdo. Garrett thinks JT had to do with it and punches him.
Yeah, he sucker punched him. I kind
Gives
of
Neil
I kind of understand.
gives Neil a look and goes off. JT punches Neil, and the
Hey.
spies are there. I know, that was cool. I'm like, damn,
Well, he
shit's
kind
getting
of
real.
he earned that. He earned that punch. He really did.
Now, now we finally get back to the other storyline. Billy and Sydney talk. Ralph is fixing the car. Um, she says Mila's mom wouldn't like him. That's why they're doing all this weird stuff and meeting at this diner. What is it, Swans? That she has a disguise and all that stuff.
And Billy says, "If Mila fires you, I'll hire you. You're really great at this." And she's just like so pissed because she's like in a servant position.
I like that Billy and Ralph switch hats. Well, he switches hats with Ralph. Ralph
That was
doesn't want
so
to give up his
funny.
hat.
Yeah, I like that too. That made Billy seem more human.
I bet Mila is dancing to her terrible song, or that terrible song, in a
Yeah,
black leather outfit, and she
and
says, "It's going to be my day."
was that like real or was that a fantasy sequence? I couldn't tell.
I think it was real. I don't know. Who knows in the show? We'll go with whatever. Leave it up to the audience. Barrick talks to Callie. He says, take better care of your friends." He's such a penis.
I don't like him.
Callie still has suspicions of Barrick. She's playing nicer to him, it seems, because she's more suspicious, which she tells Jimmy. Um,
No, she lies to
Jim,
Jimmy. She says she doesn't think there's anything going on with Barrick anymore because she's sick of him and his. Every time she says there's something suspicious about Barrick, Jimmy fights her on it tooth and nail. So
yeah.
now when he knows there's something suspicious about him, she's just like, "No, it's fine. Everything's fine." Because he asks her, he's like, "Are you softening up towards Barrick?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And then like she turns to Bobby and she's like, "No, I'm not." And I was
and
like, "Yeah,
Jimmy
making me like
Jimmy
Callie."
doesn't Jimmy doesn't mention the camera glasses, and they fall and break. That's all I have now.
Yeah.
Episode 45. We have Countess and Tutu. Welcome
Yay.
back, Tutu. You were missed.
And then the
And the
Italian.
Baroness.
Yeah, the Baroness.
The Baroness. Um, they're in Mila's room. Countess says, "It's so pink, perfect, and innocent, like Mila."
She yeah, she's like the other girl goes, "It's like a piazza." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
And they're
that was
going
funny.
to
But
an event. It's a garden event.
it's nice to see a parent around, especially Countess, because I love her. So,
Oh, Countess is our favorite parent.
um, Kelly, if Kelly brings breakfast to Glory, Garrett comes in, um, and she repeats, what she told the FBI
Yeah.
or whatever, because he's trying to get to the truth, but she ain't having
Yeah,
it.
she's just like, "I went for
Protecting her
flowers. I
main.
tripped. I passed out. I woke up when JT was calling me." And it's like, everyone knows that's a lie. If you had passed out for 12 hours, you'd have some serious brain damage going on. But like, they can't prove it. So they just let it go.
Billy, Ralph, and Sydney head to Mila. Sandy and Nancy are at Swans.
Yeah.
Um, Everything's very backburnered. I feel like we only have two storylines.
Well, we do have like Jimmy tells Barrick about breaking the glasses. And like,
Right, he apologizes.
he does apologize, but Barrick overreacts and then like backs off of it. Like he gets mad and then he's like, "Oh, it's no big deal." And then he's like, "Don't touch other people's stuff." And it's like, wait, what emotion is Barrick having right now? Like, is he mad about it? Is he not mad about it? Is he accepting Jimmy's apology or what? I don't understand.
um, yeah. Oh yeah, Billy's fans are there because they announced it in the paper, so everybody's going crazy. Jazz is getting tossed around and pissed off as usual.
She hates her job.
She hates life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is Owen? now Neil and Owen were talking in this one, right? I forgot who Owen was because he hasn't
He
been
hasn't
on
been on
so
in a
long.
minute. So
I
since
forgot his
Neil,
name.
first, since Neil and JT are on the outs, he was talking. Neil was talking to Owen about wanting to continue his experiments, and Owen offers to help him, and Neil blows him off because he's basically like, "You're not JT, so whatever." And then he says he's going out to, I think, where they shot the rocket the first time to do some sort of experiment. And then when Owen runs into JT, he's like, "Oh, did you not see Neil? He's going out to do experiments or whatever."
Yeah,
But also, JT brings Glory flowers and they have the roots because he thought she might want to plant them. And again, that was very
yeah,
sweet.
that was my next note.
Sorry.
And then Callie, no, it's fine. Callie goes off. She says she had a nightmare. JT says he has given up working with Neil.
Hmm.
She doesn't want him to. She wants JT's poems, and I have go to swans. I don't understand what that means. What I wrote. My notes I don't get sometimes.
Oh, they all decide to go. He wants to take her to Swan's for a real breakfast.
Oh, and the quiet breakfast because they don't know
Quiet
what's
breakfast.
going on with
Because
the
they have
Billy
no,
storyline.
they're not involved in that storyline.
They're
That's
not
doing
involved in that
nothing to do
storyline.
with them. So like no one called them. Sydney is not friends with Glory today, only some days. She hasn't checked in on this girl in like 3 days. There it's fine. It's
Here
fine.
was a fun moment. Bobby asked Jazz if she saw Callie. What does she do?
I guess
Callie! There's like
she just
screams in
yells
the
for
air.
her. She's like, yeah, I guess she's not here. Like that was
Yep.
such a
She didn't respond.
retail
She's not here.
that was such a retail move. You gotta applaud that.
Uh, Sid, Ralph, and Billy get to Swan's Garrett, and she exchange a look. Mila is dressed up in leather with a hat,
It's
so she's
so
very
it's so silly.
inconspicuous.
Oh my god, yeah.
Um, I put Neil tells dude he can't help him. Is that Owen?
Yeah, it's Owen. You totally forgot about Owen.
I did.
Oh my
Forgot his name.
goodness.
I knew who he was, but I just couldn't place his name. That's what happens when you're backburnered, and
I
whatever.
guess so. Owen doesn't do much. Like not since he stopped
Exactly.
hallucinating about Mila. He really
Right.
hasn't done much.
Callie and Barrick talk again. He
He
tries
calls
to
her
get.
friends comrades. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and
Spy.
he tries to get them to go to Swans. I guess he has other spy things to do.
So I wrote down for you that the Swans is GH Party Loud,
And it's what?
like General Hospital Party
Oh,
Loud,
it's party now. Yeah, but I
because
think they had better mics because I could hear what they were saying.
it was crazy loud in there, and I was like, "Oh, Eric's got to be loving this. He hates every time there's a big crowd of people yelling."
Well, I mean, that's more understandable because they had like Billy there, like and they're actually fans
Yeah,
for this British boy from where is he from? Massachusetts. I forget when I
yeah,
looked him up.
he's so British.
Um, Jimmy tells Callie that Barrick is mad at him. She's like, I'm surprised. You're like the golden boy.
Mhm.
Garrett is
Agreed.
lurking around. JT and Glory get there. Owen mentions Neil. So yeah, I did have Owen's name there, so somebody must have said it. Owen mentions Neil is doing work. JT is concerned. Billy and Mila are together. Sydney tells Garrett she has things under control. The
She does.
Countess and the Baroness arrive, and Jazz calls Mila this time. She screams for Mila
Yeah,
on the loudspeaker.
she's doing a
Well,
great
Sydney
job.
asks her to, right?
Yes, she does. She does.
So she doesn't get her hands dirty.
Right?
Slickster.
Yep.
Mila gets busted and she's grounded for life.
Yeah, she says to her, she's beached for life. I guess that's grounded. I was like, that's
Yeah.
a crazy way to say that.
Billy is confused. Garrett says it's a good start, and something collapses on Neil. I didn't know what was happening with that.
Yeah, there's a loud blast. I wrote down there's a loud blast after someone says go up and smoke, and then Neil is in the debris. So Neil couldn't stop sciencing for 5 freaking seconds. Like he just had his notes with the whole Glory almost got killed thing. He's on the outs with Neil, and he can't take a break for 5 minutes to try and figure out how he's going to restructure his like friendship with
Friendship,
JT
yeah.
or like deal with anything real. He just goes right back to I'm an obsessed scientist and I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, he's never been like a real caring person, I feel like. JT was his like best buddy and he screwed him over and I don't think he ever cared about anybody else from what
His
it seems.
Yeah, because like his character, right? Like I really liked him when he first came on because I was like, cool, science nerd, I'm down. And then all of a sudden, like the misogyny just started dropping out of his mouth, like left, right, and center. He just like was saying crazy stuff about women, like angry, crazy stuff about women. So he was
Yeah,
never going to be like he's okay with women. Like I wonder what his mother is like if he's this kind of
right.
weird.
And and when he went missing, like everybody was so concerned about him and I feel like almost like how Luke was in General Hospital. Like everybody was concerned about Luke while he was dead.
Yeah.
But he was actually alive, hiding from everyone and not caring about how, those people felt.
because he was so
It
busy
reminded me of
trying
that.
not to be a burden. And in this case, Neil is so busy trying to push forward on a project he can't do without Neil because like they've
JT,
been with Neil can't do without JT because like
JT.
the two of them have been building this project from the jump, like from the ground up together, and they don't have the heat shield. So why would he go out there without the heat shield and do this? Like it doesn't it's a very stupid thing to do.
So do you like what I don't I'm trying to think of what was outside Swans that would have did the spies blow something up? Like I don't
No,
even know.
remember in the first episode they had that rocket and they blew
Yes.
up the rocket and then Garrett pretended to be dead and it was very ridiculous.
Yeah.
All of this has to be connected, right? Because why else would he go down to the shore again? Like if he was going down to the shore, was he launching another rocket and then that caused the debris to fall on him? Or because JT said without the heat shield, whatever they were working on would explode. So like did Neil purposely go down there and without a heat shield and then like he was just is this an attempt to off himself? What is this
Yeah, I
stupid?
don't
What is
know.
this?
Yeah.
What's going on? And like of course
Yeah, I don't
everyone's
know.
going to forgive him now that he almost blew himself up. They'll just be like, "Oh, it's okay." And everyone will go back to normal. But like
Yeah,
really
I would really like to have like a redeeming quality in Neo because I don't think he has one as of now.
the only time he seemed even remotely redeemable was when he was giving that book of poems to Glory and that turned out to be a scam. Because he wasn't trying to comfort her over JT. He was trying to protect his own interests. And then one other time, he was interacting with Katie in an almost pleasant way. And you're like, oh, maybe Neil's just not as like he's all talk. But then all of this makes you kind of like run around to like you're saying, like, what are Neil's redeeming qualities?
Yeah.
Because he's not a good friend. And he just blew himself
No.
up. Is he a good scientist?
Right.
I just feel like Neil is such a like he could be such an interesting character, and he is an interesting character. Let's like the kid who
He is. I mean,
he's doing
yeah.
a great job with what he's been given. I think he's a great little actor. I just think it's weird
Yeah.
that this character is so disconnected from like humanity in a way.
Yeah, he
Considering
is.
like his best friend is like a big softy who writes poems and brings flowers to girls, and then like he's standing there like I hate these girls that get in the way of me and JT sciencing.
Yeah, right.
Weird.
See, I have no idea where these stories are going. I don't know how it's going to end. I think we have like 20 episodes left, which isn't too much.
I did like Sydney's plan. I thought Sydney's plan was masterful. And I almost felt like it needed more
Hmm.
attention than it got this week, although I'm not going to complain because Glory in a cargo net with snakes made me laugh for like 20 minutes. So,
Yeah, I just remembered when JT, he said, yeah, that's what he said to Sydney. He's like, oh, this is only the beginning because now you got to keep them apart. Like, you got to make sure Billy doesn't go after Mila and all this stuff. I forgot to mention that.
yeah,
But
Garrett kind of put Sydney in this position of like having to constantly monitor who Mila's interacting with, which is kind of stressful because like she likes Mila somewhat.
Right.
So I don't think this is going to end well for Garrett either way. But so far, Sydney's done a bang up job
I
of
mean,
getting Mila screwed over
the whole
hardcore.
birth certificate thing should get him put away in juvie at least for a year.
Never, never, ever, not even 1 second, gonna get in front of any adults on this show. And the only adult it could ever happen in front of would be Jazz. And literally, Jazz does not care about anything in this town. She is there for a paycheck, and she would let them all burn to the ground if she could.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap this episode. So we're gonna bring you more swans. We're probably gonna take a tiny break, like a few weeks off, because we're gonna come back with our friend Rhonda. Will be guest starring in the next one, and then we have another guest after that. Nobody from the show, so don't get too excited, people.
But
It would be
Rhonda's
nice.
exciting because Rhonda actually watched the show as a kid.
And then we have a man, Derek, that's going to join us who does Wicked Wicked Games on here as well. And he was an original watcher and apparently wrote some fanfic, which I'm excited to hear about.
Yay.
And then Tommy's going to join us, and then all of us are going to be together. So we have a lot coming up with the next 4 episodes, or the final 4 episodes. But it's going to take about half a month to figure it all out and all that stuff. So we'll bring that to you soon. But have a good day, everyone. Subscribe, like, and comment on anything. If you watched the Swans originally, if you're new to Swans, it's on YouTube, it's on Tubi. You can watch and join the conversation. Let us know what you think. And have a good day. Bye.